much in love, they can't see the error of their ways. Blinded by the supernatural haze, secrets some have taken to the grave. That's the game the devil plays. Dreams, visions, sent you on a mission from on high. Who's the zombie now? Everything you ever had is gone. Everything you thought was right is wrong. Broken hearts are left to carry on. Now you're both where you belong. Dreams, visions, it's a new religion of the lie. We're too young to die. Monty and the zombie killers. World is ended come July. In love, they can't see the folly of their ways. Burning with a dark infernal blaze, doctrine that will put you in the grave. Let the demons out to play. Dreams, visions, giving you permission, taking life. Die. Mommy and the zombie killers. World is ending come July. We're too young to die. Mommy and the zombie killers. It's all over come July. The zombie now, mommy, mommy. Who's the zombie now, mommy, mommy? Who's the zombie now, mommy, mommy? Who's the zombie now, mommy, mommy?
Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? I guess y'all can hear me. So welcome everybody to Difficult Research. This channel is called Difficult Research, and it is operated by Cresha K. Easton, who is the daughter of Kay Woodcock. Cresha K. is JJ's aunt and Tylee's cousin. Because of the adoption, it makes family connections or this and that doubled, I guess. Anyway, welcome here. And what we're here for today is justice for Brandon. And justice for Brandon is justice for all of them too, I might say, because he really was a big part of this and getting it all going and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to welcome you here and different ones. I'll go through and say hey to everybody, but then we're going to go on and get some tweets or whatever they call them now, because Trace is in the courtroom. Joe Smo is in the courtroom also. Nate Eaton and Justin Lummer in the courtroom. So I'm kind of looking and grabbing things that they say. And sometimes they say the same thing. They're talking about the same thing, but they say it in a different way. And I put it both in here because sometimes it makes the understanding clearer. Thank goodness all of these people who tweet are good writers and pay attention to their punctuation and stuff pretty much and spelling. And I don't have to correct anything. So I'm going to have a little drink of my zero Dr. Pepper here and get this show on the road. I don't know who that was, Beach Bum, but I was just jamming out back here to that. When when difficult research comes in, we'll have to ask her. It seems like she said that somebody did that song about this case. It sure fits in good, but Crusher's the one who I think set up all the pictures and everything. She did a wonderful job putting it together with those pictures so that it told the story. It was really so it really was really good. So I'm going to look at the live chats, which is a little bit behind. So, hey, everybody. Hey, Beach Bomb, Fancy Nancy, Little Brands, Divergent, Betsy Tags, Laney, Granny Whisperer, The X-Files, AT Chick, Eliza. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We've got 100 people watching. I know I did not get everybody's name in that. And somebody sent a Granny Whisperer. Thank you very much for the super sticker. I'm going to put that up on the screen. Let's see where that goes. Here we go. Thank you very much, Granny Whisperer. We appreciate that very much. Everything. Kresha and I, neither one are good at asking for help. So any help and support you can give Kresha is appreciated because it's just not something she comes by naturally to try and ask anybody to support her work. And it does cost a lot of money for her. Thank you very much, because like all of these apps you got to have the StreamYard. You got to have, if you're going to have music, you got to pay for that music every month or you can't use it. Of course, your internet. And then if you have news sources, these things cost money. They're not free. And, paying for the scope. The scope, but it's not free. But we do have a lot of free content, and thank goodness for that. So thank you for supporting Kresha. I'm getting off I started new meds last month, and I think I'm feeling better, but I may be feeling too good. I may be a little over the top. It's like I got energy, but it's no place to put it. Okay, let's go and see. I have way too many buttons to push, y'all. I'm sorry. The last time that I heard from Trace, they were waiting on Lori to come in the courtroom. So, what I might do is put on a little background music for us to have going on. while we're listening to this. I mean, while we're working our way through this stuff, because I know I'm not I have too much dead time. And I don't know. I'm seeing if that one is in here about the mommy and the zombie killers. It's not in her music, it's in her intro. We'll have to ask her where that came from. Let's see. I was just going to play some of that. Remember what the duck feeding music? Just something's going on, so y'all know that if you're just listening and you're not able to watch, you'll know that we're still here. So that's the reason I did that, because sometimes I'm just listening and I think, have I lost the... Back to the comments. Oh, mercy. So there was of course, all the motions. I don't even remember. We'll have to go over them. The motions that Lori had asked for the evidence to be thrown out because they didn't save the door. Evidence that all the things she accuses everybody of, she doesn't give any evidence. And all she's got to do is, I mean, not that there is evidence of some stuff, but if there was any, you'd have to tell them what it was. You can't just say that. So he denied tossing the Jeep, and also the evidence about the Tesla door and window that they didn't keep. I'm not sure about the lady that was the worked for Chandler Police Department, that was a witness, and they're trying to... Yes, okay, they denied tossing the evidence out. Well, I'm not sure whether Tammy will come. This is a different Tammy. This is not Chad Daybell's Tammy. Tammy is a technician that worked for Chandler Police Department, something with an L. And Lori was trying to get her stuff all thrown out because she was drinking at one time. I think she drinks too much. She doesn't work there anymore, but she was never charged. She was not charged for... It came out, but she was not charged anyway. She just lost her job. What did... Trey says, hey guys. And like I said, I don't know how to work this thing. Love of Punch says, he said the incident with Tammy Latchik was in 2024 and was not relevant to this case. Yeah, he said that makes total sense. I mean, paraphrase. We got you. Hey, Natalie Huber. Okay. Trey says there are about 60 or more people, and only 10 or so will get seats. Oh, yikes. Double pain in the... Well, that makes me want to cry. I know it does you too after spending the money to go down there and everything. Okay. I've never prayed for a parking space in my whole life, but I've heard people do it. If you're praying tight, pray that that Trace or Joe or Kate or all three of them or one of them gets to go in there. Like I said, I'm not I pray for sick people, but not for parking spaces. But this is important. We need to know. Have a talk with myself later. Yikes. Trace, thank you for telling us. Uh-oh. These people are not going to be happy. Crap. Yeah, it happens sometimes. So they're in that tiny courtroom. So we're, yep, okay, all right. Well, you got it. If it's not the end of the world, it's just not. I mean, I will hope she gets in there, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's see if let me see what Justin is saying. And Justin is not saying nothing. He's just hoping he gets a chair. Let's see. Nate's not saying nothing. So they may be praying. Trace is keeping us informed this morning. Okay. Trace, yes, I'm number 2 and Joe is number 3. Yay! Okay. Good. That's right. Y'all are family. I think that almost y'all should be able to say, hey, we're family. I feel like you're my family. Trace says, Beach Bum is asking Trace if it's a smaller courtroom. Fancy Nancy says, madly they are in the tiny court. Not many make it in. Well, I don't guess he really cares about that. No overflow. Maybe the trial's going to be in the bigger courtroom. This is kind of unplanned. They should have already been done with this part right here. Maybe I hope we move to the bigger courtroom this afternoon. You think that's possible? Beach Bum says only a very few are getting in. A lot of folks are trying to get in. Trace, look for Kay and hold her hands. We just got in. Judge is asking about her symptoms. Okay. Trace is in the courtroom. Yay, Trace. And she's still claiming she's sick. Well, you know that those people over at that jail gave her a COVID test. I hope we don't get this thing, the flu test and strep test. That's what they give almost everybody. They give them all those tests. She's still trying to get out of it today. Translated, beings don't get sick, Lori. You wouldn't understand, Miss Lady that's on the news from Arizona, because I have died and came back, and I'm translated, I don't get sick. Yeah, right. She has no fever. She wouldn't be there. My fake cough made me had to really cough. I'm not very good of an actress. Where's the damn inhaler when you need it? I know I just saw it. Hold on, y'all. So Trace says, even if it gets postponed for 2 months, he would still be the trial judge. Yeah, she's just trying to get away from him. Give me a speedy trial, my behind. Madly in Love with Jesus says, wow, that Lori is a piece of work. Translated, doesn't seem to repent, eat, or sleep, but too sick to face the courtroom. tell us what the heck happened. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this, and how you think you're going to get that money away from Melanie Pulowski if you had got it? The rest of the plan, y'all. Okay, let me get over here and see. I'm surprised Nate is not pontificating about this. Okay, here we go. Justin Lum Berinsky reminds her. So Berinsky reminds her that if the trial's delayed, he will still be her trial judge. She was thinking she was going to give that over on him, but no, child. No, child, no. So I'm going to put per Justin. And then the other comment, maybe I should pull this up here. He asked Lori to speak to her counsel privately for a few minutes. And Lori just brought, the deputy just brought Lori out of the courtroom as she is in a wheelchair covering her face. Wah. Sorry. I am terrible. Hateful. That new medicine I'm taking may make me being hateful. I don't know. So let's put that in there. And then I'm gonna let y'all look with me while I do this. Good heavens, too many buttons to push, y'all. Oh, Beach Bum says, no offense to those who have disability, but this hussy is faking. I think she is. That's what Justin says. Let's see what Nate is saying over here. Lori is wheeled out of the courtroom in a wheelchair, her face down and face in hand. He says they just walked in. The judge is telling them to proceed. When she is feeling unwell, they are discussing tank orders. Judge asks Lori what the symptoms are. She is having nausea, chills, headaches. She responds. Oh. Poor Lori. I think I should do it. Okay, let me pull this up if I'm going to do this. That way y'all won't be seeing my big head everywhere. Let's see what y'all are seeing. Okay. You can see that comment underneath. It says, I'm your trial judge. My instructions are to complete your second trial, even if for some reason your sickness worsens. Boy, he's telling her off. I'm so sorry we won't get to hear that. Let me get this comment down. I am sorry we will not get to hear that. Let's see what Joe Schmo was saying. I do not know how to really use this correctly, so sometimes it's hard for me to find the latest thing that they put. Okay, let's see. Okay, Justin Lum says Brandon Boudreaux and his wife are also in the courtroom. I have never seen Daybell in a wheelchair. She sounded sick. It's hard to make out some of her responses. Berinsky wants this trial to get back on track, to start opening statements tomorrow. Ugh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm not a very good person to be probably. I'm going on and on. I have more size than she does. Let's put this over here. Okay. if the trial's delayed. Okay, so let's see. Nate says that Lori looks considerably different from the way she has previous days. She basically told the judge her team that could do jury without her and let her rest up. Nate also says Brandon and his wife just walked into the courtroom with their victim advocate. They are seated on the front row. Around 10 to 15 members of the public are in the courtroom. So all that's good information, and I'm going to put that in the chat. My nose is itching. Okay, what is Trace saying? He looks nice today. Okay. So, no, that is not what I'm supposed to be looking at. But he did say, Nate also says that she looks different. Oh, man, Nate, sneak us a picture. Don't really, because we don't want to get nobody in trouble. Draw a picture. I should not be enjoying somebody not feeling good and having to ride around in a damn wheelchair. I need to pray about it. That's what I said. I think my medicine has turned me upside down a little bit. Carrie Wilson says she's got nothing. It's not prepared in any way for this trial anyway. We need a court artist. We sure do. Oh my gosh. Yes, Carrie Lee Vickers. This lady is, sometimes somebody being so mean can just make you get to be mean fooling with them. I feel like. Oh, Nancy Hauser says Daryl Brooks was ushered into the courtroom. So, see, listen to what Trace says. Trace says Brandon is very quiet, just let's see, where is that comment? Let's see. Okay. Justin Lumpsich, we should have around 57 potential jurors in the pool. We are delayed so far by 20 minutes. He also says advisory council is back, consisting of Pamela Hicks and Robert Abernathy, with no sign of Lori yet. Okay, and jurors said the jurors are not in the courtroom right now hearing all this about Lori being sick. So let's put this in the chat about potential jurors. I think this was Justin. And also, I think that other comment he said was pretty important too. The advisory council are there, but Lori is not. So this is Justin's comment too. Okay, it's getting good, y'all. Okay. What in the world? Okay. Nate says Lori's attorneys just walked into the courtroom. They are seated at the defense table, so they're going to do it without her. I couldn't ask for a more. Trace says she's back in there, damn it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. Well, So Trey says that they're. Let me get back over here. I got too many buttons to push. I'm not good at it. I would never make a good air traffic controller. Where is that? Trace's last. She's trying to hunch up. Well, it's kind of crazy, ain't it? Okay. I wish I did know more about this, but okay. Justin's thumb, Daybell is back. Being wheeled into the courtroom, covered the right side of her face and to the gallery. Uh-oh. This all makes me want to cough. I hope I don't cough on y'all. This is Justin. This next one, I don't know. I'm going to read it out loud, but I'm going to try not to gag when I do. Pamela Hicks places a garbage can next to Lori's right side of her chair. Ugh. I was hoping that she'd go on home back to bed, back to her translated bed. I'm going to have to, hold on, y'all. I got to cough myself. All this talk about coughing. Dang it. I'm sorry I was muted. I hope that I've been putting it at least in the damn. Sorry, this coughing. I guess I'm just going to cough on you so I won't remember to. I got it now, don't I? Trina. Trina also suggests starting early. Berinsky says 9 a.m. Friday if possible. I muted myself to cough and just didn't. There's too many buttons here. There's a button for my mic, a button on here to mute. There's YouTube buttons and StreamYard buttons. And I'm just like, I used to be good at keeping up with what was what, but Lord help me. Y'all are getting a full treatment today. Oh, Lori says she doesn't want Wednesday. It's out pressuring her. She's crying. Oh my God. So, okay, I'll turn off the music and see if it's bothering you. I didn't want to bother anybody. Okay, we'll just. There you go. Feel better about that music? So she's crying. Well, somebody please get this little bit of so we can watch what happened in the courtroom this morning. There was no jurors in there for us to see. Oh, Lori asked Berinsky if he's going to drag her in again Wednesday if she's not feeling better. Well, she's getting drug places, y'all. She's getting drug places. She is quite the hussy. It's Monday. When I was her age, 51, if I was sick on Monday, I probably would be fine by Wednesday. I don't know what's the matter with this chick, but I'm just going to say that right now. You would think her translated genes would be better than mine. Oh, God. Nate says, Lori is loudly crying. Judge asked Lori and the prosecutor to exit because Lori would not move from her wheelchair. Lori will not explain what is going on to the jurors without the prosecution and defense in the room. Well, she is putting on a show today, people. Judge says he will need to bring jurors in to tell them something. He asked Lori if he can sit in a regular chair or move to the wheelchair. Lori argues with him. You're putting a lot of pressure on me to be better by Wednesday. She starts to cry. She is worried she won't be better by Wednesday. If I'm not better tomorrow, are you going to drag me in here Wednesday to bring me in here? Judge answered yes. The answer is yes. I will probably order that you be in here on Wednesday and we will take tomorrow off. I need to confirm how you're feeling. Lori tells the judge he's welcome to go to the jail and see how she's doing. The judge says, I'll pass on that. Oh my Lord, somebody please for you this little bit of stuff here. Please, somebody for you. Oh my God. Oh, Trey says they need to call her a ambulance. Oh my gosh, I can't even get everything he just said on here. My mother's coming down the hallway. You may be able to hear her. I'm going to try to put this all in here, but I'm going to put it in the back window so that it doesn't I don't have to, because that's a lot right there. Let's see. I hope she's okay. I don't know where my mom's going. She's probably putting her. She's been doing laundry. She feels. Okay, I'm gonna put it in here. It's gonna say it's from difficult research, but it's gonna be me because I think that it'll just like go all of it. Because I want y'all to see. We want to have a record of that. Oh my gosh. Okay, what is Trace saying? I know she's probably got something to say about all this. Trace says, I try so hard to please people. This is hard for me. That's what Lori says. Okay, let's see what else is going on. It's just a drama. Uh-oh. So Justin says that both parties are walking out as we wait for the jurors to come in. Berinsky will speak to them about the repeated delay. The juror has one juror has a camping trip on Friday, and he will be excused. So this is Justin. Oh my gosh. Then he says, Berinsky is shaking. Let's see. Berinsky is shaking his head slightly to himself. We have jurors coming in soon. This is more from per Justin. I don't know what the heck that just happened. Let's see here what Joe Schmo is he saying. I bet he's losing his mind. Okay. Joe Schmo says jury selection will not proceed today due to I'm not capable of properly representing myself. The judge will call the jury and request her sit in on regular seat and move out of it. And she can't even do that. That's what Joe had to say. Let me put that in there. Because she's making them see her in the dang wheelchair. She wants them. That's the whole point of it, I guess. Golly, let me hide that. Okay. Nate says the jurors have been escorted in to take their seats. Can you imagine what these jurors must be thinking? What the heck have we got ourselves into? If they have. Okay. Justin says they're being seated. Okay. Justin says that. Oh my. Let me be sure and like that. Justin has requested the FTR recording from today's morning regarding what all we saw. Thank you. Go, Justin, go. I love this. So we will be able to see this because of Justin. Y'all, we need to hug Justin. Woo. Whew. The judge explains, this is Nate. The judge explains that there's no attorneys here. I'm embarrassed to tell you because I've never had this come up in my entire career. Something else has come up now, and we're unable to proceed with jury selection as planned. Copy that. The situation is such that we won't be able to resume. I hate it to ask you guys to do this, and I apologize. Well, what's he going to do? So this is all Nate. So let me put this here. There's a lot. Poor Judge Berinsky had to say all that stuff to him. Okay. I feel like I'm calling a blows in a fight or something. Okay. And these are the comments by Justin Lum. Berinsky to the jurors. I'm embarrassed because I've never had this come in my entire career. He lets the jurors know that we won't be back till Wednesday. Juror 4 says he has a camping trip this weekend and is excused. Justin Lum says he even says he will have donuts for them if they make it into the jury. They are free to go now. What a morning. Good heavens. I want to cuss right now, but I'm not going to. What a morning. I guess they're done till Wednesday. So we get this afternoon. That means we get to cook or something. Wish I had a car. Okay, Nate says the judge apologizes again and asks them to return Wednesday at 10 a.m. He tells them not to look up anything about the case and tells them not to discuss it with anyone. He says that if they make it on the jury, he will make it up to them by buying them donuts. One lady responds, that'll work. So let's put that in the chat too from Nate. How long does it take them to get that footage from today, I wonder? Kesha K, Justin Lum is requesting that the footage on those cams today so we can see what happened in the courtroom. Yay. Lamecia says, I'm disgusted and so sick of this serial killer playing the system time and time again. Yes, but at least the judge told her, okay, I don't care how long this takes, I'm still going to be your judge. Because I figured that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to get him off of the case one way or another, and it did not work. Okay. Let's go back over here. Nate says court's adjourned. Where's Tracy? They may have to leave the courtroom fast. I don't know. Wow, everybody. I know, I'm not sure. Let's see. How long have we been going? Almost an hour. Well, I think I'm not sure what I could do. Okay. I don't know, little one. That's something. Lamecia says, I'm sorry you and Joe and all those jurors had to drive down there for her to act this way. That's what Lamecia says. Hey, y'all, but we are going to get to see footage of this because Justin is I don't know whether you call it FOIA or whatever, but I know that you can get it fast because Lauren had some from the other day pretty fast. So that's great. I can't believe it. All right. So, okay. So FTR. What does FTR stand for, Little Brands? What does that stand for? Well, she might get her own self deceased in that prison. Hannah says she cannot believe this crap. Me either. Sick in the head. Says, oh, but it's the internal courtroom footage. And I can't wait to see it either. I don't know how long that will take. But I know we'll be back on for it whenever it does drop. Well, I hate to end Chris's stream without her ending her stream. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch or play some of the testimony that Brandon Boudreaux, his testimony at Chad's trial. And I'll interrupt it to see what's going on with Trace and them. Let's see. Remove this. I have to share screen again. This is Brandon Boudreaux's testimony at Chad Daybell's trial.
Only swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth.
All right, now the witness has been placed under oath. I'm just going to inquire. The court does have an exclusionary order. In fact, Mr. Boudreaux, have you observed any of the trial testimony in this case since it began?
I have not.
All right, have you talked to anybody else about the testimony they've given in trial?
I have not.
All right, Mr. Wood, then you can proceed with your direct examination.
Thank you, and Your Honor, before I do, I apologize. I should have asked for this from the court earlier. If I could be handed State's Exhibit 9.
Okay, we'll get that to you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can you state your name and spell it for the record?
My name is Brandon Boudreaux. Brandon. Boudreaux is Boudreaux.
Mr. Boudreaux, are you married?
I am.
Are you on a first or second marriage?
I'm in my second marriage.
I want to ask you a few questions about your first marriage. Who were you married to?
Melanie, she was Cope and then became Boudreaux.
And in your marriage with Melanie Boudreaux, did you have any children?
I did. I had 4.
What are their ages?
14, 10, 8, and 7.
And how long were you married to Melanie Boudreaux?
I was married to her for about 10 years.
Right. And you mentioned earlier that her maiden name was Cope.
It was, yes.
And are you aware of her current last name?
Pulowski.
What year did you marry Melanie?
2008.
And during that time, did you have occasion to meet her family?
Yes, I did.
I want to specifically ask about, did you meet the Cox family?
Yes, I did.
And who were they in relation to Melanie Boudreaux?
They would have been her birth mom's family, extended family.
And who in that family did you meet?
I met Janice and Barry Cox, Adam Cox, Summer Shiflett, Lori Vallow, and Alex Cox.
And so what was Lori Vallow's relation to Melanie Boudreaux?
She would have been Melanie's aunt.
And what was Alex Cox's relationship to her?
He would have been her uncle.
So they were your aunt and uncle-in-law?
Yeah.
Did you spend much time with Melanie's family?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together.
In what capacity would you spend time with them?
We spent holidays together. When they lived close to us, we probably see each other once a month. When they were more distant, we would travel to each other's houses and stay for a week or 2 at a time. And then we do trips together. We went to Disneyland a lot together.
And I asked that kind of broadly about her family. Did you have occasion to spend much time with Lori Vallow and Charles Vallow?
Yeah. That Lori and her kids and my kids, we would go to Disneyland a lot. We would hang out a lot. We did a lot of things together. It was just kind of part of our lives.
Okay. And I said Charles Vallow at that time. Was Lori Vallow married to Charles Vallow?
Yes.
And how well did you get to know Lori and Charles?
I would say pretty well, very well.
And you mentioned your family spent time together. You said you went to Disneyland?
Yeah.
And would you spend holidays together?
Yeah, often.
Would your children spend time with her children?
Yeah, my son Braxton was very good friends with JJ. They kind of bonded, and my daughter as well, right?
And how old was Braxton as compared to JJ?
He's a couple years older.
And were you aware that JJ had some special needs?
Yeah. JJ had autism. Everybody who was around him, it was easy to tell. Early on when he was younger, he was nonverbal for a while. And so he had like all this energy, but he didn't know how to use it. So you just had to be prepared for that. You set your house up for it when he'd come over to our house, or when you went to Lori and Charles, they spent a lot of time making sure that it was a safe place for him, and that everything was kind of handled for that. And then as he got older, he started learning how to talk, and he could say things. And similarly, he would rephrase things over and over. When he wanted to play with my son, he'd always say, you know, go to Braxy, and he called my daughter Fridays instead of Bridie. So Braxy and Fridays, Braxy and Fridays. But
and so you said Braxton was a good playmate for JJ.
yeah,
Did your family spend time with Tylee Ryan?
yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with Tylee Ryan.
She's a good girl. She was, I knew her from when she was little and then all the way up into being a teenager. And so she was a normal teenager. You know, she had her moments where she just wanted to sleep in late and no one to bug her, watch too much Netflix, and other times where she'd open up and she was sweet, and you know, got to know the real Tylee. So you got a little bit of both.
And did she interact with your children as well?
She did, yeah. Often would babysit them, or she was a little older than my kids, so she would naturally be kind of more of a, she had good motherly instincts, you know, with them.
Did you ever observe Tylee with JJ?
Yeah, she was very protective of him.
And did you know Colby Ryan?
Yeah, I do.
Speaking of Tylee, did you yourself have any special sort of religious connection to Tylee Ryan?
I did. I baptized her.
Okay. And when you baptized her, what church was that in?
In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And so to your knowledge, Tylee and her family were members of that church?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Melanie Boudreaux and Lori Vallow. Did you have occasion to observe their relationship?
Yes, I did.
And was that over a span of years?
Yes.
What was that relationship like?
You know, Melanie's mom died when she was young, and she had an awesome stepmom, but I think she also looked a lot to Lori as a mother figure. So she, in our marriage, at least, she was very easily influenced by wanting to do things. That's why we went always to Disneyland with Lori. It was just kind of, she always wanted to be like Lori and spent a lot of time looking for her acceptance.
Okay. And you testified that you indeed spent a lot of time with them.
Yes.
Did you know Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Did you have a relationship with Charles Vallow?
Yeah, we had a really good relationship.
Tell us about that. What made that a good relationship?
We just had similar personalities. I think both of us, we loved what we did for work. We loved owning businesses and selling. And he was very much a producer mentality type of a person. And besides that, I think we both loved our faith and had a lot of gratitude that we had. You know, I think of us spending time just talking about how grateful we were to have our families and be in a position where we were in life.
And you said you had some common ground in business. What did you do?
I worked I built a direct TV sales organization, and he did life insurance.
You'd mentioned traveling to each other's homes. Where did that happen?
It depended throughout, you know, that 10 years is a long time. And so they moved, they never owned their houses. They rented, and they moved a little bit more often. And so they lived in Hawaii for parts of the time, and we would travel out to Hawaii to see them. Other times they lived blocks from us in Arizona. I lived in Arizona throughout that.
I'm going to put a link in the chat for Trace if you want to come up, or if somebody else wants to come up too, you can. So I'm going to start this again, but I'm going to go on and put the link in the chat.
Whole time.
Yeah. And would they sometimes stay at your house when they came back from Hawaii?
Yes. Yeah. When I was first married, Lori actually came up and stayed with us in Utah as well when I had a place there.
And yeah, I believe you mentioned that you would spend holidays together sometimes.
Yeah, often like Christmas, Thanksgiving, we would major holidays, we'd end up meeting at somebody's house and doing it together.
Do you recall the last Christmas that your family, the Boudreaux family, and the Charles and Lori Vallow family spent together?
Yeah, it would have been 2018.
And was that a typical Christmas?
No, it was different.
Why was it different?
In 2018, our families were changing. That particular Christmas, I wasn't as aware of everything that was going on. But when we went there, when you spend that much time together all the time, you don't have to say anything. You just know from each other's body language. And when you show up places, when you do things, it's just, you always feel welcome. You feel loved. You feel close. It's like you can pick up right where you left off. And that Christmas, when I was over at Lori's house, there just felt like a lot of distance. There was, and usually just the family. It was just like the Coxes and the Boudreaux. And that Christmas, there was someone named Melanie Gibb who was there. Who, she was a stranger to me, so it was kind of different to have a stranger at Christmas. And there was really not very much conversation with me, and a lot less focus on my kids and the kids that Christmas.
So when you say less focus from who?
From Lori.
And how was her interaction with you and your family different than before?
Yeah, Lori was pretty doting. When my kids would come over, she would make them feel loved. She would just try to spoil them with presents and attention, and that was kind of her way of letting people know that she noticed them. And that didn't happen that Christmas.
So it was markedly different.
Yeah.
Did you observe Lori and your wife, Melanie, at that party?
Yes.
Hey, Trace.
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, no, you can't hear us? Hello, can anybody
It's
hear
so
me?
bizarre. I can't hear.
Well, can you go out and come back in? Somebody type in the chat, go out and come back in. I'm going to remove her. Remove. There, she's going to do it. She knows the deal. You have to sometimes go out and come back in. Golly, I bet they are worked up being in the courtroom with that crazy lady. Come on, Trace, come back. Here we go.
There, I can hear.
Can you hear us this time?
I can. I'm here
Good.
with Joe.
Good.
Joe's driving.
Wow, what a day. What a few,
I can't
whatever.
I just can't even believe it. I really can't.
Justin
my God.
Lum has requested the camera feed this morning.
I
from this
hope. I
morning.
was telling somebody I hope they get it, because it's hard to even go back over I'm speechless watching her, sitting there crying. I should be laying down. I can't even sit up. I can't believe that you would drag me from my bed. Those guards felt so sorry for me this morning, dragging me from my bed. If I'm not well, are you going to drag me from my bed on Wednesday? Judge Boreski, yep, I'm probably going to drag you from your bed on Wednesday. She
Wow.
I've been sick one other time and been here 5 years, and I'm doing such a good job representing myself. And my co-counsels are not comfortable doing that. I don't buy that. We rode down the elevator with her co-counsel. I didn't even look at them, but I'm telling you, then there's a whole bunch of people out there that did not get in and not happy. And there's some snooty people, but wow. Yeah. And then the judge, he says, I have never had to do this in my career ever. He said to the jury, and I am embarrassed, but we are not going to be able to continue today. Now, he doesn't say, he makes sure to say nothing to Lori at all, or about Lori at all, so that the jurors have no idea why. And then, but he says, whoever's chosen for the jury, I'll make it up with donuts, and everybody laughs, and I just, yeah. So she doesn't even want it on Wednesday. She wants it out further than that. And the judge said to her, well, what would you have me do then? You don't think you're going to be well by Wednesday. What would you have me do then? She didn't have an answer. I don't know. What kind of stomach sickness? Usually those kind of flus are like 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not even a translated being, and I could say if I was sick today, I would probably be better by Wednesday, and I'm way older than this hussy.
Exactly.
And she said it came on yesterday, and he made her come in and sit, and he told her it was only going to be, you told me it was only going to be 15 minutes, and it was an hour and a half, and it was all I could do not to throw up in front of the jurors.
And on TV, dragged me in here, and I almost threw up on TV. Oh my God. You guys. Poor Brandon. He kind of kept his cool. He kept a even face. That's the second day that they get down there, and then half an hour later, they're turning around to go back,
All of y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's just unbelievable.
it really is. I thought for sure they would, because the judge even said, he said, there's not even really a lot to participate in at this point, these first questions, I do most of the questioning. And so your attorneys could speak well for you,
They don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's what she said. What else did she say? Oh, she was crying. She was crying, but we already know she can fake cry. We've seen her do that. So, and then, okay, so then here's the other thing I wanted to say. So they were ready to go apparently, because by the time we got in there, judge was already talking to her. And I didn't notice she was in a wheelchair till they took her out. So did you see did the jury initially see her in a wheelchair?
No.
Oh, she was in a regular chair then.
She wasn't in a wheelchair yesterday that I saw.
No. Earlier today, before.
The jury wasn't ever in there. The jury didn't come in until.
Oh, they didn't come in that first time? Oh, okay. Okay. There's a lot going on at once.
The judge didn't want them to see her in a wheelchair because that would make them feel sorry for her or something.
Well, no.
Then they would know she was an inmate.
Because it has MCSO on the back of it.
Yes.
Maricopa County Sheriff's
Office. Yes.
That caused everybody to laugh.
What?
I know.
Was she dressed in her street clothes?
Nope. Couldn't tell she was.
She was
she had like a black shawl
over.
She had like a black shawl over her, so I reckon under that black shawl, she probably still had on her jail clothes.
Well, that just speaks on.
Yeah, it really does.
Can you hear my train?
Yeah, I can. Sounds of home. I grew up in a railroad town.
It's right. It's right. You can see it from here.
Those are the sounds of my childhood comfort. I don't even know. I just.
Wow.
Because
wow.
I understand. And then I, my friend Charlene, I'm not going to say the name. My friend that's a judge told me that. She said they're not going to move the judge, even if it went out. And she's right. And I'm glad Lori knows that. You can pull your shenanigans and I will still be your judge in August.
because that's really what I thought. I thought she is doing this
Yeah.
so that she will get a different judge, was what she wanted anyway.
Yep.
I'm so glad
Yep.
that he pointed that out
He
to
said
her.
that.
She
Yep.
knows.
Yep. I am the trial
Dragging
judge.
him.
Yep. It doesn't matter when this trial takes place. I will be the judge. So at least that's good. I felt like there was a lot of maybe even a little drama over the weekend about, judge being removed, he's not coming back or whatever. I think people kind of do that for clickbait, but yeah, so we don't have to worry about that.
I've said all along, Judge
Yep.
B is here for the long haul.
He's here because he's established himself on the record very well if she tries to appeal anything,
Well, that, and he's been charged with being her trial judge.
Yep.
So he cannot be removed as her trial judge until her trial is over.
I feel like this is what this whole thing was about, is that she just wanted a different judge and they weren't gonna do what she says. And and he told her some of the stuff she would actually get if she would provide some kind of evidence.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I don't even remember what I was gonna say. That you're right though. He has been more than fair is the thing. Can you imagine how some judges would just shut her down? You know what I mean? So I
was thinking that whenever I was reading the comments about it, they were, trying to get her out of her wheelchair into the other chair. I thought to myself, he needs to shock that booty and see if that'll move her.
She'd jump up then, huh? Yeah, you know what? She's just being passive aggressive. That's exactly what this is. It's not going her way, so she's going to throw a wrench and put everyone out. Trina has to go in. Trina made a point, and when the judge asked, what should the state? What do you? She didn't force it at all. She said, "Well, if we need to postpone it for a few days, whatever, we'll do that. But I need to know. I need to know an outline. I have to schedule witnesses. So whatever we're going to do, I just need an outline of it, So she didn't oppose it because I think maybe she knew, we don't want any room for appeals,
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder head.
I'm sorry, guys.
So, what happens when lawyers get sick? Like, truly, I've never seen a situation like that. I'm sure it happens. Do they just cancel court or?
Well, I'm trying to remember which trial it was. One of the trials,
Red Mountain Freeway and North Power Road, Mesa.
Sorry, the GPS is on.
I don't remember whether it was Lindsay Blake or the other one, but one of them's parent died or something, and they missed.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
But for the most part, they had a team though.
Yes. Yes. Trina's a one-man show. Yeah. And I think most times for most major trials, there's usually two.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I guess those were death penalty and are supposed to be death penalty trials in Idaho.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by this.
I just wish, I hope they get the video released, because when y'all hear her crying and whining, she's sick, but she's not so sick that she can't snark back to the judge. You know what I mean?
I sure hope they release this stuff because,
yeah,
it would sure prejudice a jury if they saw it, but I want to see
it. Well, and he did tell the jury, he said, do not look anything up. Do not, you know what I mean? He gave them, so hopefully, I don't know if I could do that as a juror, but I would tell them, yeah, I looked it up. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I wish I could send them donuts.
Exactly.
Two ladies did last time. He asked if two ladies said looked it up, and two of them said yes.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Didn't admonish them, didn't say anything, just let them go. All right.
Yep.
Well, especially since
So, I
everybody
mean,
acted so strange today, that would make you even more want to go look it up even more.
exactly. And he apologized like 3 times in a row. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't hear the first judge very often.
You really don't. First time in my career, yeah. So, I don't know, because then if people start looking it up, or if we start losing some of these people, then they're going to have to do more questionnaires and more. That's what she wants. She just wants to make this a pain in the ass for everyone involved, because she's passive
Exactly.
aggressive and didn't get her way. Ugh.
Oh, I bet Megan is gonna really
Oh,
set
yeah.
her on fire about this. Oh my Lord. Well, I was playing
Reminded me
this
a lot of how
what
Oh, and he testified, like, yes, that is so good. Go back to it, because I really enjoyed hearing that again. I learned so much that I did not remember hearing the first time.
right. Yeah.
And the timeline of how their marriage ended, and it's really good.
I had when you suggested that last night, I listened to it again, and I thought really is good, because it shows what a relationship that he had with all of them, and
Yeah.
I hope that he is able to tell that much this time, because it's important to the story for them
It
to
is.
understand that.
I don't think they're going to get into as much detail. Do you? Well, Joe, I don't think Joe's heard all of Brandon's testimony on the Chad trial.
No, I just played the part when it was.
Mm. Or, yeah, Brandon. So,
Okay, well, look,
I don't know, but we do know that Brandon's going to be a very good witness, because he was a very good witness. And I was thinking about it, because I did listen to that, because today at one point he was just staring straight ahead at Lori, and I was like, it must be so weird for him. That was once someone who was very close to his kids, who he spent holidays with. Is not just someone that just tried to kill him. You know what I mean? How hard. And Brandon did comment in that thing. I think he said about how Lori was very good to his kids,
oh yeah, and
So,
talking about how they had the house like secured, so that even whenever
JJ
before
came over.
JJ, yeah, and how Lori and them had the house so that JJ couldn't hurt himself before he got where he could handle himself as well and
Yeah,
could
yeah,
communicate. They had it safe over there for him.
yeah, yeah. So,
Well, and just
I'm going to tell you what, Brandon looked so nice in court today. He is a hot looking man. I'm going to say it. He had a gray suit and a pink tie. He's a very good looking man.
Yeah, I got all dressed up for that.
And Joe's a very good looking man.
I'm just
yes. Well, thank goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're just on our way back home.
All right. Well, I guess okay, well, y'all rest up for Wednesday for another
Oh,
round of
we
it.
will,
And
because
I'm sure that Kresha is going to come back on later, and especially
okay.
whenever they get that footage. Oh my gosh! But if y'all want
Okay.
to step down, I'll let y'all, and then we're going to finish watching the rest of this testimony from Brandon, and then I'm going to cut everybody loose, and I'm sure
Okay.
Kresha will do another live later today.
Okay.
And she and I
All
get to do
right.
our Tuesday night thing.
And then Joe and her have their Tuesday night thing.
Yes, I love the Tuesday night thing.
Yeah. All righty.
All right.
Tuesday.
Okay.
See you
Talk
next
to you
Tuesday.
later.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Like, remove. she couldn't figure out how to leave. Okay, so we'll go back and finish watching this, and then after that we'll take a break because I'm sure Crusher will come back. If I can find where my thing is, here it is.
How do you recall what their interaction was?
I remember leaving afterwards and talking to my wife about how it felt different because it felt so different, and her telling me that nothing felt different at all. So I would say that she felt like it was fine and normal, and it didn't seem to her like it did to me.
Okay. Around this time, were you and your wife active in your church?
Yes.
And when I say active in your church, did you regularly attend church meetings?
Yeah, usually every Sunday, unless there's something going on.
And had your family and the Charles and Lori Vallow family, had you ever shared religious activities with them?
Yeah, like I said, I baptized Tylee. We talked about church openly amongst us.
Around that time, so we're talking about the end of 2018, did your wife's activity in religious events change?
Yeah, in the fall of 2018, earlier in my marriage, she just didn't love going to church. It wasn't her thing. I liked going to church, so I was kind of the advocate. I would push a little more. But in the fall of 2018, she got very excited about religion and going to church, and she started talking about how she set this goal that she was going to go to the temple every single day.
Okay. And so around the fall of 2018, her attitudes appeared to change.
Yes.
And you said she wanted to go to the temple every day. What did you think of that?
In our faith, it's going to the temple is definitely something that's important to us. It's a way to kind of to go through a process to remind yourself of promises that you make to God. It's kind of ritualistic, but for me, it's a great thing to do in moderation. You know, I might go once a month, and I think that's kind of a normal thing for a person. If they set a goal, they go once a month and just kind of remember, hey, I committed to God to give my life to certain principles. But when it's pretty rare for someone to go every day, that's a lot, especially for a mom with kids at home and a lot of other things that we had as responsibilities. And so it was surprising, I think would probably be the right word. But also for me at the time, I wanted to be supportive. I wanted to show that, you know, I could meet her where she was and help her try to figure things out.
And just for clarity's purpose, in your faith, is going to the temple the same thing as going to church? What most people think of as going to church?
No.
What's the difference?
Going to the temple is something we do once for ourselves. That very first time to make promises to God. It's like being baptized. You know, we go once for ourselves. We make promises to God. And then each time you go afterwards, you do it for someone who's passed on, but it's something that's kind of viewed, like I said, it's maybe a once a month thing, or I mean, going regularly is healthy, and I think a good part of anybody who wants to find a rhythm for their religion. But going every day would maybe be something somebody did if they were retired and they just had nothing else to do.
But going to the temple is not your regular Sunday services.
No, we go to a regular Sunday service every Sunday at a church building.
Thank you to clarify that. And so this was, I think you said in the fall of 2018 that these changes started taking place.
Yes.
In addition to this daily temple attendance, what else changed in your wife's religious demeanor or attitude?
at that time she started going to these things that she was calling firesides, but weren't things that I would call a fireside.
Okay. So let's clarify that. In your church, if someone says fireside, what do you normally think of?
So inside of our faith, there's a leader of like a group of we call it a ward. So like a group of people who live in a certain geographic area. And so inside your ward, that leader's name is a bishop, and him or one of the other people, like the counselors in the leadership group, at times they might, besides going to church on Sunday, they might set up a meeting that they think might lift us up or encourage us spiritually. And it might be outside the normal times you go. And so they usually do them in the evenings, and they call them firesides. That's something that, you get together, it's under the direction of the church. And ideally it's uplifting. It's something that's going to bring you closer to, your commitments you made when you're baptized to try to follow the Savior.
Okay. And you said that Melanie Boudreaux, and there's multiple Melanies in this case, so I'm going to keep referring to her as Melanie Boudreaux, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so Melanie Boudreaux, she started going to what I believe you testified, what she called firesides, correct?
Yes, correct.
And were these different than what you would normally call a fireside?
Yeah, so I kind of just described what I think of as a fireside, but she was just going to people's houses, and they were doing meetings that weren't under direction of anybody from the church. And oftentimes they were focused on things that aren't things we talk about normally in church. Some of them were just...
What kind of things?
I didn't go to them, so I can't say what exactly was talked about, but I can share what came back from them, which was what made me concerned. She came home one time and wanted to get like $10,000 worth of food storage all at once because she was really concerned about the end of the end of times coming, the end of the world coming. And it just didn't seem very practical to me, and then there was other focuses that she would come home with. She had a fascination with like Jesus Christ and did he have a family, and why was James's name the beloved? A lot of early Christian, early church things. And so I would share perspective, but I was also, I kind of tried to share with her my perspective on, I served a mission for my church for a couple of years, and I saw some people who fell away from it, and I shared something that I had noticed in that process that those people got really focused on not the core of believing in finding faith in Jesus Christ, but they got focused on things that were really far away from that, and it led to them falling away from the core of their faith.
And you said that you never attended any of these, can I use the phrase alternative firesides?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I did not attend any of them.
Did you ever attempt to?
I did ask if I could, mostly because I wanted to see what was going on in there so I could give her better perspective, but she let me know I wasn't welcome at them.
So she didn't let you go with her?
Yeah, she told me I wasn't welcome to come.
Do you know if Lori Vallow was at any of those firesides?
Yeah, I do. She was the one who invited her to them initially.
So coming back to winter of 2018, if it's fair to say that your testimony, your wife's religious fervor has changed, and you had this awkward Christmas party. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did the situation, and you've testified that your relationship between the Chad and Lori family and your family was close. Did the situation between your family and Charles and Lori's family change around that time?
A little bit after. right after in the new year, beginning of the new year, there was a period where Lori, she did send a message to the family telling them that her accusation was Charles was cheating on her, and that because of this, she locked. She took all the money out of their bank account. She stole Charles's truck, changed the locks on their house. It was very irrational to me.
And when was this?
It would have been like the end of January of 2019.
And how did you respond to that situation?
Initially I didn't even know about it. I think she called everybody, but my phone was blocked from Charles, so I couldn't hear from him at all. I found out later that Melanie must have blocked him in my phone, but
just to be clear, Charles Vallow's contact was blocked on your phone.
yes, and I didn't do it. And the only other person who had access was my wife.
Okay. And so you were talking about how you reacted to this situation of, I guess you could say, a breakup between Lori and Charles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one when you're that close with people, and everybody in the family kind of got drug in and involved in it because it was messy. As far as like Charles really didn't want it to happen. He wasn't looking for it. He was trying to make sure it didn't happen. He was sending us as a group regular emails to try to contact us and work through it and try to communicate, because Lori just kind of cut him off after all that. She just stopped talking to him. She actually left him with JJ and just disappeared for a while.
Do you know where she went?
I don't.
Okay. But she didn't take JJ with her.
No.
Do you know how old JJ was at the time?
I can't remember right now. It's been a long time.
But he was still a young child.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't leave JJ. JJ had to be watched all the time. You couldn't leave him alone. He was, when you're watching JJ, it's your whole life. Like, you have to plan everything around it. I mean, just for him to come visit, you have to plan everything around it.
And you stated that the whole family got drug in. Did your wife take a position on taking a side?
Yeah, when it happened, I wanted us to not take a side, and divorces are just messy, like there's nothing anybody can do about, like, when you've been together for a long time and you're trying to separate both emotionally, gonna have a hard time going through the process. And so my encouragement was that we didn't pick a side. We just loved them both, and then made sure that the kids knew that they had somewhere where they could be safe, and our house could be that. But Melanie just kept saying how she was uncomfortable with Charles, and she didn't.
Microphone, please.
We're getting into some hearsay, and Judge, I've been patient, but the narrative is getting a little lengthy now, so I'm going to object on narrative and hearsay at this point.
Sustained.
Okay. Did Melanie Boudreaux demand that your family take a side?
Objection, hearsay.
That's a request, Your Honor. A request is not hearsay.
That is overruled. You can answer.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And did you respect Melanie's wishes on that?
I did my best.
And was that because she was your wife?
Yeah, I wanted to stay married. It was really important to me.
And so we've kind of moved on now to the beginning of 2019. Is that accurate to say?
Yes.
In these events that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Did you see Lori Vallow much in early of 2019?
Not at all.
Okay. And I believe, I don't want to misstate what you said. It was your understanding that she had left.
Yeah, I don't know where, because I didn't have any contact, and it didn't seem like anyone else did. But
did you see Charles Vallow at all during that time?
I did a few times. We would agree for JJ to come over, play with my kids, and so he would come over.
Okay. And Lori was never with him?
Never.
And was she with JJ?
No.
But Charles would come over and bring JJ to the house.
Yeah.
And what would JJ do at your house?
He would just come play with my son. He would, they play video games as long as he could keep his attention on it. Sometimes he just bounce from one thing to another. He'd be all over the house. Braxton would kind of keep his eye on him and play with him. He knew JJ was special, and so he kind of kept that assignment. Before JJ came over, you'd prep it. We put like little stoppers on the top of all the doors out or whatever to make sure he would try to sneak outside. And then it was, he's so fast that you had to be prepared. So you'd pre-plan some of that stuff before he came over, make sure it was ready for him. And then, but Braxton would kind of keep his eye on him, and I would usually at that time, I'd sit and talk to Charles.
Okay. What would you speak with Charles about?
You can imagine someone going through a divorce they didn't want to go through. He was pretty, I don't know what the right words are, distraught, sad, overwhelmed. It was a lot for him.
Are you aware if at any time there was an attempt at reconciliation between Charles and Lori?
Yeah, I think Charles tried to reconcile. I actually think he stopped with the divorce. He always said that he was going to make it work.
Sustain.
I'm going to move forward to the summer of 2019. Did you have an occasion to take a trip to your in-laws' house?
I did, yeah.
And do you recall when that was?
It would have been in June of 2018.
Do you recall the exact date or approximately when in June?
The week of June, like 23rd, 25th, something like that.
What was your purpose for going to your in-laws?
My wife's younger sister was getting married.
And while you were there, did anything out of the ordinary happen?
Yes.
What was that?
A few things, but the first thing that happened is my grandfather died of a heart attack.
And were you expecting that?
No.
And so you're at your wife's family's house when you got the news?
I was actually with my parents. We took my family, went to, decided to go to church with my mom and my dad, which is they still live in the same place where I had left for my mission on. And we were actually just sitting in the pews right before church started. And my dad got a phone call, and he never gets up and takes his phone calls in church. So he got up and he left. And he came back and he waved us all out. Said,
Your Honor, I apologize.
Go ahead. It's sustain, as you're saying.
It's just some foundation, so I can move on at this point.
Very well.
Did you have any conversations about your grandfather's death with your wife, Melanie?
Yes. After he passed away, I waited a day or two. My mom called me to tell me when the funeral was, and I told her that when it was and that I wanted us all to go, and she told me she wasn't going to go.
Sustained, and I'll strike that final part of the response of what was said.
All right. At this point, were you still at your in-laws' home?
Yes.
And did you have a disagreement with your wife over whether or not to attend your grandfather's funeral?
Yes.
Did you want to go to your father's funeral, your grandfather's funeral?
Overruled. You can continue, Mr. Wood.
Yes, I wanted to go to my grandfather's funeral, and I wanted my family to.
While you were having this discussion with your wife, did that escalate into any other type of conversation?
Yes. It escalated into a conversation in an argument that didn't make any sense to me.
What was it about?
Well, she started bringing Lori into this argument, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about. She said that God had.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. It's hearsay.
You're right.
Response, Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, I believe it comes in for the effect on the listener, not for the truth of the matter.
Well, I think just the specific statements are hearsay beyond that, so I'll sustain the objection.
Without saying what the words your wife used, what was the context of that conversation?
We had an argument about whether or not I hacked Lori Vallow's computer.
Did your wife accuse you of hacking Lori Vallow's computer?
Yes.
Did she request that you admit that you hacked into her computer?
Yes, she said that I had to.
Judge, I'm going to object again.
Your Honor,
Sustain.
Your Honor, if I might briefly argue, a request is not hearsay.
Well, a request, if it's calling for specific statements of the party not here for cross, would be hearsay. So I'm not saying you can't answer, but in terms of specifically what was said, that's where the ruling stands.
All right. Thank you. So that accusation was made.
Yes.
What was your reaction to that?
I just felt really frustrated. I had no idea why we were even talking about it. It had nothing to do with what I was trying to get through to her and what I was trying to talk about. It was like this thing that didn't make any sense to me.
Without going into any specific statements, did Melanie Boudreaux provide any context for why she thought you'd hacked into Lori Vallow's computer?
Judge, it's going to call for hearsay.
Overruled.
Can you ask that question one more time?
Yeah. Without providing any of the statements, she said, did Melanie Boudreaux provide any context for why she thought or why she was accusing you of hacking into Lori Vallow's computer?
Can you ask that one more time? I want to answer it properly.
Sorry, it's probably complicated.
Yeah.
Was there any reason given why she thought you had hacked into Lori Vallow's computer?
Judge, response calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Just a bare accusation.
Yeah.
To be clear, Mr. Boudreaux, did you ever hack into Lori Vallow's computer?
No.
Did, in this conversation, did Melanie Boudreaux inform you of anything that God had revealed to her
Judge,
in relation to this divorce?
Judge, I'm going to object. This is leading.
On leading, that's overruled.
Yeah, the argument continued to progress, and I guess she actually specifically said that God had told her.
Judge, I'm going to object. It's hearsay.
It is hearsay.
Your Honor, that this statement is not coming in for the truth of the matter. It's just simply to show the argument and the effect on the listener.
All right. And again, for that purpose, it's not hearsay, but any specific statements where they're not subject to cross, I'm finding are hearsay.
Yeah. Without saying the specific statement she said, what did she accuse you of?
Of being gay and of hacking her Aunt Lori's computer.
What was your response to those accusations?
I mean, all of the emotions you would think you'd feel after 10 years married to somebody. Disappointment, frustration, a lot of grief, a lot of grief.
Did you have any idea that she would make an accusation of homosexuality against you?
No. I mean, I had a thought that it might happen because of something Charles had said, but no, I never would have believed it.
So you have, is it fair to call it an argument?
Yeah.
How did it end?
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time. It started in the afternoon. It went past midnight, and she went to bed. I just stayed up troubled all night.
Okay. Did you send a text to Charles and Lori that night?
I did. I was really frustrated about this whole thing being involved in my relationship with my wife. So I sent it.
It's becoming a narrative. It's non-responsive.
Overruled.
So text to Charles, telling them that if my family was broken up and my marriage ruined, it was on them.
Approximately was that?
A little bit later, a lot was going on at that time, so I couldn't say like a specific time, but I ended up talking to him on the phone.
Would you say this? Is it fair to say we're still in the late June?
Yeah, it was like the next day, probably at like in the evening.
And what was that conversation like?
He just apologized for.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. It's calling for hearsay.
Sustained.
What did you say to Charles?
I just apologized to him. Told him I was really sorry about not being there more for him, because now I was feeling like I know he must have felt. And he was really gracious.
Was that the last time you spoke with Charles Vallow?
It was.
After Charles Vallow died, did you have any contact with Lori Vallow?
No, I did not.
After Charles died, did you have any contact with JJ Vallow?
No, I did not.
And after Charles died, did you have any contact with Tylee Ryan?
No, I did not.
After Charles Vallow died, what happened with your relationship with your wife?
Oh, we got divorced.
When did that happen, approximately?
We started the divorce right after my grandfather's funeral, but it takes a little while. So we got a mediator right after and signed all the documents. And I moved her into a rental house, and then I think it finalized in October.
Okay. In that process, was there any the home that you and Melanie lived in, did you sell it?
I did.
And did she move to another location?
She did. I helped her get a rental home.
And did you move to another location?
I did. I ended up getting a rental home as well.
Approximately when did you get that rental home?
I got it. I found out the house was sold like the end of September. It looked like it was going to sell, And so I went and found a rental home at that time.
All right. And where was, uh, don't go into specifics of neighborhoods, but what city was this in?
Gilbert,
Gilbert,
Arizona.
and is that where you had been living the last several years?
Yeah, I moved back.
And so did you, you located a property that, was it close to the home that you and Melanie had been living in?
Yes.
And why was that?
I wanted to make sure my kids had stability. I was really worried about all of the changes.
And were you sharing custody with Melanie at this time?
I was.
What was the situation between you and Melanie like at this point, at the end of September, beginning of October of 2019?
It had changed quite a bit. Since June, she just stopped talking to me. We could text, but barely. There was no connection anymore. And she's very cold to me.
At this point, did you know where Lori Vallow was?
No.
Is it fair to say that probably wasn't the first thing on your mind?
Yeah.
But you hadn't heard from her?
No.
And you hadn't heard from Tylee or JJ?
No.
So we've been speaking about this, your situation with your wife, Melanie Boudreaux, at the end of September, beginning of October. Did anything happen at the beginning of October of 2019 that affected that situation?
Yes.
What was that?
On October 2nd of 2019, someone parked in front of my house and shot at me and tried to kill me.
Okay. Let's talk about that. October 2nd, you said?
Yes.
Let's go to the kind of beginning of the day. How did your day start?
I woke up. I had all my kids at my house, so I got them ready for school, and then I got them out the door. We did our normal stuff: breakfast, prayer, and then I dropped the older two at school, and the younger one, the second youngest, at a preschool, and then I dropped my youngest at Melanie's house.
Right. After you dropped your kids off, where did you go next?
Then I went to the gym.
Okay. This is all in that same area, Gilbert, Arizona.
Yes.
And after the gym, where did you go?
Then I drove back to my house, and as I was driving around, my house is a couple of houses in on the street, so I made a left in onto the street. And as I was driving, I noticed a few things. My house, the driveway, there was like a Jeep parked right on the edge of it, where I would normally turn in, and there was nothing parked there usually. I'd only been there for a few days, but so far it was always there was this van there, and like the Jeep was parked with its like bumper basically on the van, and it just looked at that place. It had a Texas license plate. There was no tire on the back of the Jeep, and you know how when you open and close a Jeep, there's like little tabs on the window. Those were sitting on the outside of it. So it just looked awkward. You know, just was awkward enough that I noticed it right as I turned around the corner.
Okay. So you noticed the Jeep.
Mhm.
Did you notice anybody inside of it?
I couldn't tell if there was anybody inside of it. You know, this all happened in such, I mean, imagine coming around a corner, driving a couple house lengths. So it all happened very quickly. And then the window opened up and I saw a gun and a silencer. And I would I mean, my window shattered. I heard a bang, you know, all kind of in the same amount of time. And my immediate thought was just, I'm getting shot at. And I, instead of turning my wheel and into my driveway, I just pushed the gas and drove straight forward.
What happened after that?
I drove to where my street ended, and there was a turn. And kind of as I came up to that part, I remember grabbing my phone, calling 911, talking to the operator. I went and pulled a little bit around, and there was like a little community pool there, and I kind of parked in front of it for a second. And there's like a loop between my street and the street above me. And I remember I could see on that loop, I saw that Jeep start to come around the corner, and then it did a U-turn went the other way. And I think I started to follow it at first, and then I think
were you on the phone with 911 during this time?
Yes, yeah. The whole time I was talking to an operator.
And you just said, if I understand correctly, that you started following the Jeep.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, at the moment, but
did you notify 911 that that's what you were doing?
Yeah, and they I believe they told me to pull around and park in front of my house. So I did, and then they told me to wait for police, and they came shortly thereafter.
Okay. I believe you testified, correct me if I'm wrong, that you had only been in this house for a few days.
Yes.
Um, how many people had you told that you were in this house?
Almost nobody. It would happen very quickly because I wasn't supposed to be able to get my kids as soon as I was, but my wife had agreed to let me have them sooner. And so I had moved everything out of the house that was selling to get them in so I could have them for that weekend with me in my house because I would do anything to keep my kids with me. And
So when Melanie Boudreaux, you were there, had you told anybody else?
So I had to tell her when I got the place. I hadn't told anybody else, but my neighbors had seen me moving and they helped me move. So they knew where I was, just the ones that lived by me there.
So had you told any other friends and family yet this was your new residence?
Just hadn't had time to tell anybody yet. It was so quick, and then I had my kids.
So did law enforcement show up?
Yes.
And did you notify them of what had happened?
Yeah, I told them everything that I could.
And when you said your window had shattered, is that your driver's side front window?
Yes, the bullet had lodged up in like the door frame, which I didn't know in the moment, but later you could see where it had hit. And it was just right above like where my head would be.
Right. And did you describe the Jeep to law enforcement?
Yes.
And did you follow up with law enforcement after that?
Yes. When you go through something like that, I mean, you spend all day. It feels like with law enforcement, it takes a really long time. So at some point, like a detective came over, I talked to him, and then later, as I was thinking through everything and talking with other people that were close to it, I realized that I felt really confident that the Jeep was Tylee's Jeep.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Were you aware that Tylee Ryan had a Jeep?
Yes.
Did you know how long she'd had it?
Charles got it for her during all of this, when he was in Texas, he'd gotten her Jeep.
So when he was in Texas, was that in 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And you had seen that Jeep?
Yes.
And so I don't want to put words in your mouth. Your testimony is that as you reflected on it, you thought more and more that this was Tylee's Jeep.
Yeah, I think I might have called Zach Cox and talked to him too, and he might have had the same thought, and we both were just like, "That's got to be the Jeep."
Who is Zach Cox?
Adam Cox, Lori's brother. It's his son. He had lived with Lori and Charles for a period of time, and with me. He's 18, 19 at the time, so he just kind of out on his own. He was working for me. I had given him a job.
Did you take any other steps to identify that Jeep?
Yeah, I was an insurance agent at the time, and previously Charles had given us the VIN number, and so I just gave that VIN number to law enforcement.
Okay. And so you have the VIN number for Tylee Ryan's Jeep?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the number you provided to law enforcement?
Yeah.
And just to be clear, you had that because you were insuring that Jeep?
I didn't end up insuring it. He had just given us all the information. Charles had.
Okay.
So.
Your Honor, I don't know what time the court wants to take the mid-morning break.
This is probably about good time to do it, Mr. Wood.
Okay.
All right, we're back on the record on CR 2221-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell, continuing direct examination of Mr. Boudreaux, who's still under oath for testimony. I'll remind the witness, the jurors have returned, and Mr. Wood, you can continue with your direct.
Thank you. Mr. Boudreaux, when we left off, we were discussing an incident on October 2nd. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. It sounds like you had testified, you had come to some opinion as to which Jeep was involved. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And you provided the VIN number of Tylee Ryan's Jeep to law enforcement?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask State be allowed to publish State's Exhibit 9A.
As previously admitted, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you may publish it.
Mr. Boudreaux, do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know who that vehicle belonged to?
We called it Tylee's Jeep. I believe it was Charles's. I think he's the one who bought it.
But you were aware that Tylee Ryan drove that Jeep?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the Jeep that you saw on the morning of October 2nd, 2019?
Yes.
So as you provided that VIN to law enforcement, did you do anything else in regards to that shooting?
That day or when specifically?
Well, let's start with that day. Did you do anything else? Or let me ask this, strike what I just said. When approximately did you give law enforcement the VIN number for Tyler Ryan's Jeep?
That day.
Okay. And did you take any other steps or did you provide any other information to law enforcement?
I just shared with them who I thought did it and why.
At any point after that first day, did you do anything else looking into the shooting that took place?
Yes.
What did you do?
After you go through something like that, it was pretty traumatic. It took me a little bit to realize that that a resolution wasn't just going to come really quick. Like the police weren't just going to arrest someone, a day or two later, and and then it would all be resolved. So I started trying to figure out things I could do to help assist law enforcement into finding who shot at me. That included hiring a private investigator, going back through any information I had, like old emails, the ones that Charles had sent me.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You said Charles had sent you some emails. When had Charles sent you emails?
He sent me emails. So when he and Lori were going through the divorce, he was sending out emails to the family with things he was concerned about, because he was very concerned about her mental health, and with things that pertain to this belief set that she was building.
Okay. And so that was during the period that Charles and Lori were separated. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And were you the only recipient of those emails?
No, he sent it to all of our family. So any of us who he considered family. So like Janice, Barry, Zach, Adam, all of us.
And so it's your testimony, you started going back through those emails.
I did, yes.
And what was the purpose of that?
I thought maybe if I knew more about what these beliefs were, that now apparently to me it seemed my wife had and Lori had, that I could maybe I could try to figure out more of what was going on, because everything was so bizarre.
And these emails that Charles sent, what was the nature of these emails? Was it a narrative that he was speaking about?
Well, in them I found that a lot of the stuff was being sent by a Chad Daybell, who I didn't know.
Okay. And when you say stuff, what type of stuff?
There was like these documents that talked about like light and dark spirits, and it was like rating my family, like myself, and then my extended family, like Lori's family and things like that. There was invitations to some of these firesides and stuff like that, and information about them that I didn't consider firesides, things like that.
Okay. And did you provide those emails to law enforcement?
I did, yeah.
Did you see your own name written in those emails?
I did.
With some type of, did you understand what that was? Like you said some type of rating.
Judge, I'm going to object. This is becoming leading, and we haven't had a sufficient foundation to tell us what emails, date, time, place, year.
It's sustained as leading.
Okay. You testified that you saw your name.
Yes.
Was there anything written next to your name?
The letter D.
Okay. After you provided those emails to law enforcement, did you do anything else?
I wanted to figure out more, so I got into Google and searched for Chad Daybell, because I didn't know him, so I wanted to see more information about this person that was sending the information.
Right. And what did you find?
When I typed his name in, an obituary popped up for a Tammy Daybell, and something inside of me was just shocked. I was just.
Did you provide that information to law enforcement?
I did, yes. I called up my detective, Ryan Pillar, at the time, and I texted him.
So just to clarify, you said my detective. Was that your private investigator or a detective, law enforcement detective?
Sorry. Yes, he was the detective at Gilbert at the time that was assigned to my case.
Right. As this process went on, did you ever learn that Tylee, Ryan, and JJ Vallow were missing?
Yes. We were worried about it early on, and I often told Detective Pillar my concerns.
Did you ever learn whether or not JJ and Tylee Ryan had been found?
It,
I'm sorry.
I did. Sorry.
And do you remember when that was?
I got a call June 9th of 2020.
Where were you?
My parents' house.
Do you recall who? Do you remember who called you?
I don't. I just remember somebody from, I think, Rexburg calling just to let me know that they had found what they were pretty sure was the kids.
Well, once you got that information, what did you do?
The next day was my wedding, so I was getting remarried. So I got married, and shortly after that, I just felt like I needed to go up to Rexburg. I don't know what for. I just felt like I should, so I drove up there.
When you were in Idaho, did law enforcement ask you to do anything as it related to JJ or Tylee?
Yes, they asked me to identify JJ.
And do you recall where you were when that happened?
Where I was when I identified JJ?
Yes.
Okay. It was, I think, outside of Pocatello at an FBI location.
And do you recall the date?
June 11th or June 12th.
How did they have you identify him?
They showed me some pictures of him deceased. They asked me if that was JJ. And I said, yeah.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
All right. Cross-examination.
Need a moment?
No, I'm okay. We can go.
You mentioned you had contact with Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow quite frequently. Is that right?
Yes.
What was the frequency with which you had contact with Charles Vallow from when you first met him to the time of his death?
It varied by the years. Sometimes when he lived close to me, I'd see him often. I could see him every week and sometimes. And then there was other times where he traveled for work, so I might not see him for a couple months. And they also lived further away, so sometimes I wouldn't see him as often.
They were nomadic. They never owned a house. They would just constantly rent. That's what I recall. I think you testified to that. Is that right?
I wouldn't use the word nomadic, but they definitely moved more often than I did.
Okay. And approximately the date you first met Lori Vallow?
It would have been in 2008. I was driving with my then fiance at the time from Texas to Utah, and we went through Phoenix, and I met the Cox family at that time.
Okay. And would you agree with me that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox had a very, very close relationship?
It was on again, off again. There was times where it was very close, and there was times when they wouldn't see each other very often, but they knew each other very well.
Well, are you aware that it seemed that every time Lori moved, Alex would follow her and move to where she would move to?
Not always. Yes, sometimes that did happen, but other times no.
And more often than not, though?
It depended. Like there were times where Alex lived with in Arizona with us, and Lori left to Hawaii for a few years. But then there was other times I agree with you where they all moved from Texas to Arizona together and things like that.
And on the subject of Hawaii, during the time that Lori left JJ with Charles for that 2-month period, and I believe that was January and February of 19. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it might have gone into March a little bit too, but yeah, that time frame sounds right.
And during that time, are you aware that she was residing and staying in Hawaii?
I don't know where she lived at that time. I didn't have any contact with her.
Okay. And at the time you were married to her niece, so you guys didn't discuss Lori's whereabouts as being in Hawaii for 2.5 months.
Well, my wife said she didn't know where she was.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that was true. I just know that's what she said.
Okay. Now, would you agree with me that Tylee and JJ had a very, very close relationship?
Yeah, I mean, they were brother and sister, so I would say they were close.
Well, more than that, isn't it true that for all practical purposes, Tylee was really like the second mother to JJ and caring for JJ?
It depended. I mean, she was a teenager, so there was definitely times where that wasn't the case. But there was also times where she was a nurturer for JJ. I mean, she loved him, but she was, like I said, she's a teenager, so that was not her primary responsibility for sure.
But did you observe JJ looking at that in maybe a different perspective, that he relied on Tylee for a lot of things and things that maybe Lori wasn't providing for him?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Did you observe anything to that effect?
And JJ was special needs, so I don't know that I could have identified that JJ could have. I mean, JJ needed every adult or anyone who was there to help him. You know, that's what he needed. And I definitely remember during that time when Charles had him, he missed his mom a lot. Charles brought it up in those same emails a lot, and it broke your heart.
And after Lori got back from Hawaii in March, early March, there was an attempt at reconciliation.
Yeah, they did try.
And at that point, did Charles confide in you that he actually was convinced by Lori to make Lori the beneficiary of his life insurance policy again?
Charles didn't talk to me about his life insurance policy. Charles did not talk to me about his life insurance policy.
So he never discussed with you finances or anything like that?
We talked about financial stuff, but he never talked to me about his life insurance policy.
Okay. So you're not aware that the life insurance policy was placed in Lori Vallow's name during this reconciliation period then, correct?
I would have no ability to testify to that.
Okay. You brought up the subject of Melanie Gibb. And my recollection of your testimony is that you found it unusual that Melanie Gibb was there for Christmas of 2018.
Yes.
And I can't recall if you had said that they seemed to have a close bond at that point. How would you characterize their bond at that point?
Who's they?
Melanie Gibb and Lori Vallow.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like they definitely had a closer bond.
And are you aware of when Melanie Gibb and Lori first met?
I can't testify to when they met.
Did your wife participate in these gatherings in August, September, and October with Melanie Gibb and Lori?
I believe so.
Yeah. And these gatherings in August, September, and October of 2018 were what you described as these fireside chats?
And I think they went past October. I think they were in November as well, in December.
But they started in the mid to early summer of that year. Is that right?
I can't say when Melanie's very first one was.
Okay. And were you aware that Melanie Gibb was the organizer and planner of all of these events?
I can't testify who planned them.
Okay. It wasn't your wife who was planning them?
I don't think so. It would have been without my knowledge.
Okay. And you found it unusual that Melanie was there at your Christmas holiday for what would be deemed a family holiday. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you happen to recall seeing a gentleman by the name of David Warwick at Christmas that year as well with Melanie?
No.
Okay. Now, you touched on a little bit about the temple, and I don't want to cover this too much, but in terms of the temple, what I don't understand is when someone goes to the temple in your faith, they do that as part of the marriage process in the beginning, right? To sort of the bond. It's a bonding, or you bond with each other, or I'm grasping for the word seal. You're sealing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word?
There's a few things that you can do at the temple. You can go and do something called baptisms for the dead, where you can.
Well, I want to talk about. We'll get there in a minute.
Okay.
I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on that, but I'm as part of the marriage process. You seal with each other as part of the marriage process when a couple first gets married, right?
Yeah, we have something where you can be sealed to your spouse for time and all eternity, is what we call it.
And regardless of what happens, you're sealed, even if it means divorce or otherwise, right?
No, not quite. But
Okay.
I mean, we make promises to God, and with those covenants, if you keep those, we believe He gave authority to the person who seals you to be able to stay married even after you die.
Right.
But obviously, with any covenant, if you don't keep your promises to God, then you can break that, and it's no longer sealed.
Right, and that's something that's important in the LDS faith, is to keep your covenant to God, right?
I would hope for most people, if they believe in God and they make a promise with Him, that they would want to keep it.
So and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but the sealing is also a process in which you and I'm trying to be careful about the way I phrase this, so correct me if I'm wrong. You stand in for somebody else who has passed away or is no longer alive, and you baptize them as a proxy for them. Is that kind of what goes on there?
Sealing or baptizing? Because you said baptize.
Well, sealing. There's a sealing process about being a proxy for someone who's passed on, right?
Yeah. So if I can be sealed to my wife here living, and that's something that I want to do, then I have that option. And for those who passed on, we practice in proxy is what we call it, but we practice the process of doing that for them so that it could be done here on earth, so that if it's something that they wanted, they could have that option in heaven.
So when they pass on, you're helping them move on to heaven. Is that really what that's all about?
The process would be up to them to choose, right? But yes, we're going through the process here in behalf of them.
Well, you mentioned the baptism then, and that's what I'm a little confused about. So you baptized people who have passed on as well.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to beyond the scope of direct.
Overruled. So, Mr. Pryor, there needs to be some relevance as well. So it's narrow.
Well, Judge, I think I'm going to move on. This was more curiosity than was anything else. So
Okay,
let's move on.
Not relevant if it's just curiosity. So
yeah, let's move on then. As part of these fireside issues, have you ever heard of an organization or a group preparing the people?
I have, yes.
And that's an organization that sort of caters to people of your faith about being ready for the second coming. Would that be fair?
I don't know if I would agree with that statement, but so I guess I would say no for me.
Okay, well, not for you, but in general for people who are participating in those preparing the people rallies or conventions or firesides. Really, the theme is what to do after the second coming, or preparing in case of an emergency, something of that effect. Would that be fair?
I've never been to something, so I can't testify as to what they believe.
Okay. Is that something that would be considered outside the realm of your faith, or not something you should be looking into as part of your faith?
I mean, I think each person has to decide what they're interested in and what things apply to their faith.
But obviously, if there are some things that you're engaging in that are contrary to the faith, then you don't get to choose that, right?
The church can occasionally come out, right, like any organization, and say, hey, these are things that don't apply to our faith.
So having visions, have you heard about people who are blessed with the ability to have divine visions and be able to see events that are occurring in the future?
I have never had any visions, and I don't know anybody who I personally believe that I know personally who's had a vision.
Okay. And then having seances, like conducting a seance, is that something that your wife was doing as part of this back starting in the summer of 2018? Is she engaging in seances?
I can't testify to that because I don't know.
Okay. Did she talk to you anything about conducting vibrations and having vibration movements as part of these seances?
She didn't talk to me about that.
Okay. And the discussion of light and dark, you talked a little bit about Chad Daybell and that there was some discussion about light and dark, right? But
yes.
That's not necessarily inconsistent with your faith. Your faith is talks about it in a number of your publications about light spirits and dark spirits. Isn't that true?
We don't talk about light spirits and dark spirits. No.
No, there's nothing in the faith that talks about light or dark spirits, right?
Nothing in what I've been taught. I mean, it's a large faith. There's a lot of information. So
okay, so you're just not aware of whether that's taught in your faith or not. Is that fair?
I've been going to my church for a really long time, and I've never experienced it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Unmute myself, y'all. I think that I'm gonna close this down. Let me get up here and change myself here. I'm gonna close it down here in a minute, and I'm sure Cresha will be back after a while. Trey says, I don't think the judge can order the jail or the doctor have one available. I don't know about any of that, but All right, y'all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one down, and I'm sure Cresha will come back later, and she will, as soon as as Justin has that court film available. All right. See you later. Remember, love always wins. Justice for Tylee and JJ, Charles and Tammy, and Brandon, and also Joe Ryan. Love always wins.